Hey team, Luke at Crusader Machining. Welcome back for another video. This video we're going to talk about cycle time. Anybody watching this video that's worked in a shop for any extended amount of time always knows that the boss comes out and says, I need that cycle time faster. Do what you got to do to get there. We've all heard it. We've all been there. Is it worth it to speed that job up? What risks go into speeding that job up? And then a few ways that I think you can easily speed up a job. So when you got the boss man coming out saying, hey man, Luke, I need to get this job sped up. You're a minute cycle time. I quoted 55 seconds. You got to take those 5 seconds off. Do what you got to do. And before you go in there right away, working your setup and program and magic and getting those 5 seconds off, ask yourself a couple questions. Grab a calculator. If I'm running an order for 1,000 pieces, 1,000 parts, and I'm going to save 5 seconds per cycle, times that by 5 to get 5,000, there's 5,000 seconds that I'm going to save. Sounds like a lot, right? I'm going to divide that by 60. It's going to give me 83. 83 minutes of time I'm going to save on a 1,000 piece order, saving 5 seconds. And that sounds great. Man, I'm going to save 83 minutes. But the second part of the question there, you got to ask yourself, how much time am I going to spend saving those 83 minutes? If the amount of time that you're going to spend saving the 83 minutes total on the run exceeds 83 minutes, I would probably say, well, you know what? Let's not do that now. Let's move on to that next setup and keep that machine green. That being said, there's a few caveats. Another way that you could look at that, you could say to me, Luke, I don't think so. Even if it takes you a couple hours to save that time, the benefit would be the next time you run it, you're going to have that optimized cycle time. And if you were to say that to me, I would say, you know what? I agree. And a lot of that depends on the culture or the philosophy of the shop that you work at. If you run a lot of repeat orders, if you think that you're going to run that order again, take the time to save the time. So when it comes to saving cycle time, it's not always black and white. Always do it or never do it. It depends on a lot. Your quantity of parts. How many more setups and machines sitting down do you currently have? And how long is it going to take you to save that time? Here's a cool example I had. We normally don't run a lot of really high quantity. By high quantity, I mean 250,000 parts, 200, 300, 400,000 parts. We don't normally run quantities that high. We don't have multi-spindle or rotary transfer machines, but we did have one order on our Swiss that we ran on a couple machines. It was for roughly 270,000 pieces. Now, we ended up getting our cycle time down to about 18 seconds. I wanted to try to get it down to 17 seconds, but it was going to take some tooling. It was going to take some time going to the machine, dialing in that program, seeing a combination of pushing the tools, speed and feed, try to make sure that I had the right tools, the right coolant that could perform to what I wanted to do. And then I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to affect any dimensions. Long story short, on 270,000 pieces times 1 second of savings, there's 270,000 seconds. Let's divide that by 60. That's 4,500 minutes. Let's divide that by 60 again to see how many hours it would save. 75 hours of run time to take off 1 second. That is why I was so fanatical about getting that 1 second off of that cycle. And we ended up getting that 1 second off. We got 1 second and then some. Now it costed me $100 worth of tools and sitting at the machine for a couple hours. I would push the speed and feed up incrementally, go on and do my other work. Then I would come back, make sure that nothing changed, make sure the drills didn't break, make sure there was no bar whipping issues, make sure the quality maintained. And also, what's interesting about that job where I saved 75 hours, when I first wrote the program, I was rapiding to 50 thou away. Then I started rapiding to 40, 30, 20. And I know what you'll say, that's only going to save 1/10 of a second. Even if it did save 1/10 of 1 second, if I were to do that 3 different times, I'm 1/3 of a second. If I were to save 1/3 of a second, I'm still saving 25 hours of machine time. I don't know what you charge for machine rate, but whatever you do, times that by 25. That's our savings. So when it comes to speeding up a job, it's not all glory and fun and rainbows. You also run a lot of risks. One of those risks that you run, damaging your tooling, pushing your drill or your turn too hard, scrap material, scrap parts. Those are all the risks that you run trying to speed up a job. Now, sometimes that risk might be worth it, especially if you're running a job to high quantities, 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, a million. My brother ran a job, rotary transfer machines. These huge machines that have like 10 or 12 different spindles. It was months to set up the job. 5 years worth of running this one part on this one machine. You got a job for 5 years, you might want to start trimming off 1/10 of a second here, 1/10 of a second there, everywhere that you can, because as they say, time is money. So for a job like that you're running millions of parts, or 6 months or a year or years, every 1/10 of a second counts. But you have to weigh the risk versus the reward. So if I had to pick a few easy ways that you could speed up a job with low risk and high reward, this is what I would do. First, I would verify your approaches. Your approach is when you rapid up to your material before you begin your G1 or before you begin feeding in. Make sure that you're not cutting too much air, is what we call it, especially if you have a lot of operations in one part. Could potentially save a lot of time without pushing any tools. But once your approaches are optimized, then you want to look at that approach. What are my speeds and feeds? Am I running according to my material, my tooling selection, my machine capabilities? If you're running under what is recommended on all three of those, you might consider slowly pushing up your speed and feed. And I like to do it incrementally. For example, if I'm running a drill at 2,000 RPM, feeding at say 5, then I'm gonna move that up 5% at a time. So I'm gonna take my RPM from 2,000, I'm gonna bump it up to 2,100. I'm gonna take my feed from 5, I'm gonna go up to say 5.5. And then you let it run for a while to determine if your tool life, your chip formation, and your part are still good. Then you can move it up a little bit more. And one of the benefits that we have on some of our machines is we have 2 turrets. If I'm able to drill and turn at the same time, I would definitely drill and turn at the same time. Now that takes some good experience in programming. If you don't know how to program, don't start messing with it. I want to put a disclaimer. If you're not familiar with setup and programming, do not start trying to save cycle time. If you have an idea in your shop, bring it to someone that does know how to program. Bring it to the programmer, bring it to the foreman, bring it to the person in charge of setting up that machine. Don't dive in and do it yourself. It can be dangerous for you, for the machine, for the whole operation. So in conclusion, cycle time is not always black and white. Sometimes there's a justification to speed up a job. Other times it's better to just let that job run and move on to the next setup. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have anything that you want to contribute, drop a comment below. Share the video with someone that you think might get some value from it. If you like the videos I have, check out, I have a whole bunch of stuff in my library on my channel. Give me a subscribe if you like the content. Drop a thumbs up, drop a comment, and check me out on all my socials. Luke at Crusader Machining. Thank you for watching. Let's keep them spindles running, and I'll see you next time.